In this video, I'm going to solve quadratic equations. So I have 4 quadratic equations here, and I'm going to find their roots. So I'll start by looking at this equation here, x squared plus 8x plus 15 is equals to 0. I'll try to factorize this equation so that I find the solution. So for me to find the factors there, what we are looking for is two numbers, which when you multiply them, they give us a 15. When we add them, they give us an 8. So I start by looking at factors of 15. Then for the factors, then we will need the product. The product, we need it to be the 15. And then the sum, we need the sum to be the 8 here. So for the factors of 15, we have 1 and 15. Because we are having a positive there. So 1 and 15, and they give us a product of 15. But the sum there, 1 plus 15, gives us a 16. So this is not what we are looking for. But if we look at 3 and 5, 3 times 5, their product, it gives us a 15. And when we add them, they give us an 8. So these are the factors that we're looking for. It's a positive 3 and a positive 5. Because if we add those two, we get an 8. When you multiply them, we get a positive 15. So our equation, when you factorize it, it is that positive 3 and positive 5. So it's x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 5 is equals to 0. So that's our equation now when we have factorized it. But on the left-hand side, what you're having there, that's a product of two numbers. And the right-hand side is giving us a 0. The product of two numbers is equals to 0 if one of them or both is equals to 0. So we'd be having x plus 3 is equals to 0 or x plus 5 is equals to 0. And I now go on and solve this equation, x plus 3 equals to 0. Put the 3 on the right-hand side, then you would have x is equals to minus 3. For this equation, put the 5 on the right-hand side, then you would have x is equals to minus 5. So what you are having there, the solution of this equation is x equals to minus 3 or x equals to minus 5. I now go on to the second equation, which is saying x squared minus 9x plus 8 is equals to 0, this equation here. So to solve that, I will try to factorize it. What we want will be two numbers, which when you multiply them, they give us a positive 8. But when we add them, they give us a negative 9. So I look for factors and then I check the product, then check the sum. Here what we are looking for is their product is a positive number, but their sum is a negative number. So for us to get a positive number when you have a product and a negative number when we have the sum, the numbers that we'll be looking for there, they are negative numbers. So we can try the factors of 8, which are negative, and to get minus 8 and minus 1. Their product is an 8. Their sum there is minus 1 because minus 8 minus 1, it gives us a minus 9. So those are the factors that we need for our equation there. So what we'll be having is factors where we have minus 8 and minus 1. So I can write there, it will be x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 8 is equals to 0. So what we are having there is the right-hand side is equals to 0. The product of two numbers is equals to 0 if either one of them is 0 or both are 0. So we'll be having x minus 1 is equals to 0 or x minus 8 is equals to 0. Looking at this equation here, put the minus 1 on the right-hand side, it becomes a plus, so we'd have x is equals to 1. For this equation, the minus 8 on the right-hand side would have x is equals to 8. So what we are having there is the solution of this equation here is x equals to 1 or x is equals to 8. I now move on to the next question. We are now looking at the equation 3x squared plus 12x minus 15 equals to 0. So the first thing that I see there in this equation, there is a common factor there of these numbers there, 3, 12, and 15. So I can factor out a 3 there. It's common on those terms there. So if I factor out the 3, I would have 3 times x squared plus 4x minus 5 is equals to 0. I can divide throughout by the 3. It's a constant there. So that on the right-hand side, we'll be having 0 divided by 3, which gives us a 0. So when you divide throughout by 3, we'll be having x squared plus 4x minus 5 is equals to 0. So now looking at this equation, I can try to factorize it. What we'll be looking for is two numbers. When we multiply them, they give us a minus 5. Or when we add them, they give us a 4. So I'll look for factors of minus 5, then look at the product and look at the sum, which we need to be a 4. But here what you are having there is a minus 5. For us to have a negative number when you are having a product, that means that the numbers that we are looking for, one is positive and the other one is negative. We're looking at the factors of 5, where one is negative, the other one is positive, we can have 1 and minus 5. Their product there, 1 times minus 5 gives us a minus 5. But their sum, 1 plus minus 5 gives us a minus 4. That is not what we are looking for. We want a positive 4 there. So what we can try is factors of 5, where we have now minus 1 and 5. Their product gives us a minus 5. Their sum is minus 1 plus 5 gives us a 4. This is what we are looking for. The product is minus 5. The sum is a 4. So when you have factored there, we would have a term where we have minus 1 and the other term would have plus 5 because we are having a positive 5 here. So we'll be having x minus 1 multiplied by x plus 5 is equals to 0. So the right hand side is equals to 0. The product of two numbers is equals to 0 if one of them is 0 or they are both 0. So we'll be having x minus 1 is equals to 0 or x plus 5 is equals to 0. Looking at this equation here, if you put the minus 1 on the right hand side, we would have x equals to 1. If you look at this equation here, put the 5 on the right hand side, we would be having x is equals to minus 5. So what we are having there is the solution of this equation here is x equals to 1 or x equals to minus 5. I now move on to the last equation of this one here, 2x squared minus 7x minus 1 equals to 0. It is not always the case that we can factorize a given equation. If we can't factorize the given equation, like for this one, we can't find any factors, what we would have to do is we have to use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula says that if we have an equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, then its solution is x is equals to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So what we do now is we compare the coefficients of these two equations. When you are looking at x squared, here the coefficient is a 2, here the coefficient is an a. So by comparison, we see that a is equals to 2. Now look at x. The coefficient of x here is minus 7. The coefficient of x here is a b, so we'll be having that our b is equals to minus 7. Now look at the constant. In this equation, the constant is a minus 1. In this equation, the constant is a c. So we'll be having the c is equals to minus 1. We now go on and substitute these values of a, b, and c into this formula for x here. Then we would have x is equals to minus 7 plus or minus the square root of minus 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 1. On this part here, where we have minus times minus, it will simplify to just a 7. Then where we have minus 7 squared here, it will give us 49. Then on this part where we have minus 4 times 2 times minus 1, it will give us a plus 8. So our expression simplifies to 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus 8 divided by 4. 49 plus 8 gives us a 57, so our expression simplifies to 7 plus or minus square root of 57 divided by 4. But here we are having a plus or minus. It's saying that the other one will be plus, the other one will be minus. So for the solutions we'll be having, where we have the plus is x is equals to 7 plus square root of 57 divided by 4. Then where we have the minus is x is equal to 7 minus square root of 57 divided by 4. So these here are the two solutions of this equation here.